And why don't I hear anything? Why don't I hear anything? I'm sure you all hear me, but that doesn't mean I hear me. That's a little better. Okay. Now, is everybody else hearing me? Fuck you, Nightbot, you pissy ass bitch bot. Oh yeah. Hey Queen, how you doing? Welcome to the chat today. How is everyone? Wow, it feels weird to be back at my computer again. And it's only been a few days. It really only has been a few days. But here we are. Why am I sounding like I'm echoing to myself? Am I echoing to you guys? I got me some problems on my end. Audio, all sorts of crooked. That's a little better. Why does it still sound so loud? Let's take that down. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. That's a little better. I think I had my headset cranked up a little bit too loud. We'll just adjust it to a nice median range. And then, hey, it's Monday. So, Monday's mistake day, I guess. Mistakes are to be made on Monday. No night day. It's all relative, isn't it? No. Are you answering the bot or me? Nightbot called me a hoe. Yeah. Nightbot calls me a hoe all the time. Monday Mischief. Oh, well, we can do Monday Mischief. Monday Mischief is fun. Is there anyone else out there I should say hello to this morning? Probably. Probably is. Here, let me throw a like out there to Twitter and see if anybody catches on to the show. And while we're doing that, let me figure out how I run this darn thing, because every Monday I just have to figure it all out all over again.
Welcome to the Great Debate.
And on tonight's show, let's take a look at our guests. Oh wait, we don't have any. Okay, and it's not night, it's day. Alright, shut up, stop correcting me. Now, what are we doing? Oh, that's a good question. Well, let me start off today's show. I'm trying to figure out how to make it better. How do I get guests back on the show? So I'm going to have to go back to partitioning some massive amounts of time out in the evening looking for the guests for the next show. And I just want to make sure I put this out there on the shows that anybody who watches or sees my show that would like to come on and kind of play the game, I guess, so to speak, come on the show. Choose the topics. Discuss with me how you feel, your viewpoint, the way it differs from mine. It's an hour show. You don't have to say anything you don't want. It's easy going. I don't want to be yelling and screaming at people. Everybody is welcome to come on. Hey, you know, Anybody who watches the show is welcome to come on. If you have opposing viewpoints, I would be more than happy to hear them. What else is there to say? What else is there to say here on a Monday morning? Oh, make sure you have your coffee cups full if you're a coffee person. That's always important, I suppose. But on the board here, and I want to just comment on this. These are things that I see, and the conversations that I get into with people help direct where the next set of questions goes. So in cases where I start running short on questions, I try to refer to conversations that other people are having or that have been had. I look for benign ways to look at things, or straight on ways to look at things, odd ways to look at things. That's what I try and do. There's these 3 categories and 6 topics in each, which gives us these 18 topics, and you never know what's going to be under them. So, here's the goal. I want to get some guests on here that want to play the show, that want to hop in and hit the board. But since we don't have any guests on today's show, I have Queen of the South at least out there. Nightbot doesn't pick topics. But Queen, what would you like me to talk about first today? Meanwhile, I was reading a weird article about the war going on and the white helmets, and how now the war might get worse for Syria versus ISIS because some volunteers were removed through Israel into where was it? From Israel into Turkey, I want to say, and then these white hats that were moved are going to be in 3 months moved to another country. And this is funny. This is funny because what I see here is that Turkey has created a restricted encampment for those that they're rescuing from Syria. And I find it funny because if you look at what we here in the United States are being criticized for over encampments for people breaking into our country, we're being told this is wrong and the way we're doing it is incorrect because people and families are trying to flee over the border. But then you look over at Israel and Turkey and Syria, and Turkey has this encampment of white helmets. And yes, there is controversial stories over what the white helmets actually do over there. But there's supposed to be a rescuing organization and their families. Why their families, I don't know. And they were supposedly rescued from Israel or from Syria through Israel into Turkey, which is going to cause issues between Syria and Israel, supposedly. And these families and these white helmets are being put into, where was it in the article? They're being put into detention facilities until they're transferred. Known as the Syrian Civil Defense. The transferred Syrians will remain in a restricted area in Jordan for the time being. Jordanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesman Mohammed Al-Kayad told the Jordanian state-run Petra news agency before onward transfer to Britain, Germany, and Canada within the next 3 months. And apparently that was only arranged because Britain, Germany, and Canada vowed to have somebody moved in the next 3 months. So that was weird. Oh, hey TCA, how you doing? What the fuck or fuck the world category, because how appropriate when we're talking about saving people that save people. If every person was assigned a firearm, would you feel more or less safe? This is a weird question. So I wanted to polarize this, to absolutely polarize this argument. There's the debate over whether we should give guns to those who have mental illnesses or those who have criminal background or those who have other viewpoints. Now, what happens if you give everybody a gun? If you give everyone a gun, it creates an amount of fear within everyone. And in my mind, if I had a gun, and I knew other people had a gun, my fear would be that other people would use it and that I would have to pull mine. So obviously my thought would be that I would want to be practiced and know what I'm doing and how to do it well, how to protect my gun and myself. I would want to have some type of training. It just seems inevitable. You're going to give me a gun. I want to make sure I kind of know how to use it, at least. I honestly do know a little bit about guns, but it's very little. So I'd want to know more if I had one. This is my thinking. Now, if you assign everybody a gun, my thought would be, I'm afraid of what anybody else might do with their gun. But I also have mine to potentially protect myself. What would the outcome be? Depends on how willing that person is to use it. Now, obviously, I don't necessarily mean handing a gun to the person sitting in prison or somebody just being let out. Hey, good job raping that person and killing 3 people and, 68 years old. Here's your 6-shooter. No, not quite like that. I have a non-violent felony. If I wanted a weapon, I suppose I could go through, $15,000 worth of hoops and get a gun, but it would never be a handgun. But I'd still like a weapon to protect myself if I could, because I also know that there are others with guns that would do harm. So would handing everybody a gun change the equation much? Because some people fear those that have guns that will defend themselves and be more prepared than the person trying to commit the crime. That's an honest fear. In a lot of places that don't have guns, your chances of the person protecting themselves against you are lower if you have a gun. It creates an advantage if you're willing to pass that line. If you're willing to cross that line, you then gain that advantage over somebody. So if everybody had a gun, there would be no advantage one person had over another. It puts everybody on an equal playing field. Then everybody has that same fear of one another. It kind of goes, I guess you could almost describe it as an anarcho-gun argument. If everybody has a gun, everybody's safe from guns and everybody has the potential. But everybody can then protect themselves, so it's all for themselves. How does that work? It's a weird thought process, but let's think about that. If I hand everybody a gun and I also have one, I feel safer having one, but I'm also worried about safety because everybody else has one. I don't know who the everybody else is that will attempt to hurt me, but I know there might be one out there. And when you balance these against each other, you always want to be the more prepared in self-defense. Now, the person trying to attack you is not always necessarily trying to be the most prepared. They're just trying to make sure they have one up on you. And their one up is a strength or a power or a bigger gun. Now, honestly, does a bigger gun save you? No. Does more strength and power save you? No. Intelligence, a little bit. What I think is important is instilling that level of equality. You're all on the same playing field and nobody has a leg up over you. Hand everybody a gun. Everybody will be on the same playing field. The only leg up will be how well you can shoot. How well are you practiced? How do you know how to use it? Do you practice? Do you go to the firing range? Do you know how to pull your weapon? Do you know how to clean it? Do you know what could happen? Do you keep it safe? Do you keep it clean? Do you follow the laws? All of these things. But if you assign everybody a gun, it sort of, in my mind, it would instill a little bit of safety. Because fewer people would want to commit a crime knowing that the chances their crime will be foiled. 21-second rule. What is that? It must be a gun rule. It must be something about self-defense or protection using weapons. 21 seconds. You'll have to explain that because I don't know what I don't know. if every person was assigned a firearm, would you feel safer? Would you feel more worried for your safety? Would it change your view? How much? It's a weird question. And they keep talking about taking guns away. And then the counter argument is to that, well, if you take civilians' guns away, well, then the military and the government still have guns and you don't. So then you're basically giving them all the power. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that at all. I'm not comfortable with the government not having power, but I also don't want them to have none, because then they're not really... Or, I don't want them to have all the power, but I don't want them to have none. Somewhere in between. They should have guns, but we should have guns. The military should have bigger guns. Hey, Nike Air, how you doing? I'm going to have to look up what that 21-second rule thing is if you don't throw that in chat. But if that's fine. I don't mind looking up and researching things. I think Nike and TCA are up next. The first one to tell me what we're going to talk about is the topic I'm going to pick. But it has been an interesting weekend. I might put like a peaceful little 5-minute video up on my channel when I'm done uploading video from New Jersey. I went to the beach for a day with the kids and decided to record some blank video, because I'm not going to show my kids online, of the ocean and some audio of the waves. So I was going to mess with that and throw it up on my channel later. Wrong thing. Oh, you're in school. I hope it's college. Learn something good. Rewards, says TCA. And rewards are what we're going to get by opening this. What is the benefit or reward to being a parent? This is one I have to stop and consider. I'm going to take a drink here real quick. Sorry. I absolutely love my kids. Don't get me wrong. Love them to death. Would do anything for them. Do my best to keep them happy and make sure they have memories of me for as they get older. Ooh, summer school. Ooh, that sucks. The reward of being a parent, I would almost say, comes down to when your children hit those moments where you realize that a hard decision or something in life that you went through, that you struggled with, and you see your kids hit that point and start to make choices and realize that you've instilled enough belief or wisdom in them that those children are making choices and decisions that are wiser than that which you did. That you've taught your children how to become a better person than you are. Because no matter how good a person you are, you always understand where your downfalls are. And as you parent, and as I parent, let me reflect accordingly, because this is me. This isn't me going from a paper or study. As I parent, one of the goals I have and how I make decisions based on punishment and rewards, incentives, how do they decide about meals, is where did I have a hard time? How could I have done better? And of course, this is perspectively, it could change for them, but I try to teach them what I didn't know when I made an ill-equipped decision, so that when they make those same decisions, they're more equipped to make that decision knowledgeably. The 21-foot rule was developed by Lieutenant John Tuller, a firearms instructor with the Salt Lake City Police Department back in 1983. Tuller set up a drill where he placed a suspect armed with an edged weapon 20 feet or so away from an officer with a holstered sidearm. It also called the Tuller drill. I bought 4 copies of it and Spider-Man. The Tuller drill is a self-defense training exercise to prepare against short-range attack. When armed only with a holstered handgun, Mike Seeklander and Michael Janik took a look at different scenarios within the distance. So, okay, that's cool and important. I'm going to look more into that. That sounds cool. But back to the parent. The reward would be almost knowing that you've done a good job. A kid, to me, the reward to being a parent is not only did I partake in bringing this life into the world. I don't want to hear negative from women. Men are part of it. I helped take care of it. I helped raise it, provide for it. And as this child grew, I instilled enough wisdom. The reward is almost like a self-accomplishment in the work that you've done. I've instilled enough wisdom and enough knowledge into this child for them to make better decisions than I have, or to be better equipped than I have, or to do better than I did. To a parent, to me, the best thing is to know that from what little you've done, or what you've done, let's not belittle it, from what you've done as a parent, your child will go off and do better than you. So I guess, did I disappoint my parents by spending time in prison? I guess, little retrospective thought there. Basically, if you need training in order to properly hold your gun and attack, come under suspect. It takes only a second to either shoot or be shot. Oh, yeah. People don't understand how fast. It's weird. Remove the gun from the situation, get into a hand-to-hand combat fight, and have someone record it. Think to yourself how that fight went, how long it went on for, what you did, how you reacted, how long do you think your thought process took, how much time did you have to react, and then watch the video back on what happened and realize how quick all that actually had happened, and you just thought, oh, well, it just slowed down for me. It felt like it was so much longer or so much more intense than that, because you get into the moment. Just like in a car accident or a bumper tap, stuff like that, if you go off the road, sometimes during the incident will feel like you slowed down and reacted accordingly. That's your fight or flight. That's your mind actually processing the things at the speed at which they're happening, eliminating all other scenarios and focusing on that situation. You lose concept or perspective of time and focus on the item at hand. And once you've done this enough time, it becomes reflexive, and it doesn't take the same amount of focus and training. It becomes something you automatically do. So that's why training and practice is important. Benefits to being a parent. Here's a weird question. Using what I just said, along with the current topic, is, does having more kids make you a better parent? Does the subsequent future children then gain more from having had you as a parent than those who were there first? See you later, Nike. Interesting thought. We'll have to talk about that. But for now, we're gonna move on. And since I don't know how many people are actually here, we're just gonna let someone pick. Why does it feel like nobody watches my show anymore? It's still fun. I need something to talk about. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, and Jordan was supposed to take 800 Syrians, but they only took 422, which left 300 white helmets, and their families in Syria, being hunted by the Syrians. Terrible. Terrible. It's just terrible. We're going to talk about movies as Nike leads. Does it work better to make a movie based on a game, or a game based on a movie? This is a weird thought I was having. I was watching commercials. I forget where I was. It's one of those things where I catch stuff in passing and my mind toils through what happened during the day, and weird things stand out to me and I think about them. You consistently see movies. Right now, we're seeing movies being made from video game titles. And we were seeing video games being made from movie titles. So we've almost taken a swap of creation here. And okay, bye Nike. I'm wondering, which do you think is better? Because both have been historically bad. Welcome, Daryl. When I watch some of the movies based on the video games, my thought is always, okay, so this is the way I should have played the game. And then when you play a game based on the movie, you're always wondering how far from the storyline the game will allow you to go. So with me, it's kind of a back and forth. I don't know really which one would be better. Wasn't there a Fable movie that came out after one of the games? I haven't watched that, so I don't know how that came out. Tomb Raider was a game. They turned it into a movie. I mean, I'm not sure anything much about the second one, but the first one I thought was a decent movie. It felt kind of like the video game-ish. Some of the movements and the actions were almost like video game movements. The puzzles and the stuff like that they incorporated kind of gave it that feel like there was that gave it that feel like there was an aspect of the game included and the game was playing through. So that one was kind of done well. What's another good version? I think some of the Lego games are done okay. I haven't watched the Lego movies, though, and I'm not sure how you'd count those. They kind of go hand in hand. It is really weird. It's an odd thing to talk about, and how our movies change from the way we look at things, where we thought a couple decades ago that making movies to portray the video games that we'd enjoy would get people to bring in the movies. And now you've got movies that come out and almost instantaneously you've got these video games that portray the movie. And which of them would cause better reactions? What gets better feedback? What do you enjoy more, watching the plot fulfilled from the movie, or the plot fulfilled from the game that you just played, or playing through the movie you just watched? I guess that's where the question comes down to. Hey, welcome Data to the chat. Did I see someone else pop in there? No, it's just me. I'm seeing things. Shut up, Skullbot. Oh, Queen, you are having a blast with the bot today, aren't you? Hey, Data, how are you doing today? My mind has been digging into those topics you gave me. I am working diligently through them, and I might have a lot of information by the weekend. I honestly want to say that I think the post-movie release of the game might be the better option. Obviously, it's not going to increase movie sales, where it may increase game sales, but game sales are down, movie sales are down. Game sales are up, movie sales are down. I don't know. I really don't know which is a better way to look. I'll watch the movie if it's a good enough movie. I'll play the game if it's affordable, but They're making it so that nothing's to the point where everybody wants to do it for affordability. It's, oh, well, if you can afford it, here it is. The Resident Evil games and movies. Here's a question. What is the difference, though, between the game and the movie? The game doesn't have quite the same feel as the movie. Isn't the game designed differently than the movie plays through? It's been a while. I haven't played Resident Evil in PlayStation PlayStation. Yeah. That means something to me. PlayStation. PlayStation. I can't do that computer voice. PlayStation. Sega. That was one of my favorite. Who didn't like Sonic the Hedgehog? Come on. Where's my mind gone? What were we talking about? I'm trying to think of other examples where movies and games kind of collided. I guess it happens a lot with Batman, Green Lantern, Superman. I'm trying to think of superheroes in the Marvel and DC universe. That's a lot of it. Yes and no. They added Alice and the other characters in the movie, and they were never in the game. Well, you kind of have to add characters. The movies, the Resident Evil movies, I'm sorry, I don't know how the games went, but the movies kind of hit a point where we're not drawing attraction with zombies. We need to make bigger, weirder looking zombies and dogs that don't actually have muscles but can bite. Like, realistically, my numbskull could never move. It would fall apart. There's nothing holding it together. So to realistically, or in a movie, have animals that barely have anything holding them together. But it is a movie, you know. The zombies have nothing holding them together. They're dragging limbs by ligaments, but those limbs aren't moving. So I guess, yeah, a little bit of... Damn, I don't even know where I went with that topic. Click. Whoops. All right, here we are at the board. What time is it? It's 9:30. Hey, look, it's 9:30. And we have 6 people watching us. This is awesome. Awesome. Highest number of the day. Little low for recent ratings. I think everybody's enjoying those hot summer days, and I probably should be as well. Things to do and all. Phone calls to make, you know, services to cancel so I can afford my wife's new car so that I can find a job. Things to do. Let's pick another topic. I believe Queen of the South picked school, so if I don't get another topic in this chat in the next few seconds, we're going to have to go with school. Why aren't you working? Okay, we're going to school. Would it help keep student education? Would it help student education to make paying school taxes an option versus tuition? All right, so here's the thought process I had, being a homeowner and therefore a taxpayer. I have 2 kids, and regardless of the number of kids I have, I pay the same amount into taxes. So if I have no kids, 2 kids, 7 kids, I pay the same amount into taxes to help the school stay afloat for others who have... What? There's a truck somewhere. I hear a squeal. I'm paying taxes for all students in my area to be able to go to school. Now, this creates large local government sort of ideas that teach students based on the government levels. Now, if I want my kid to learn more, I have to pay a tuition to send them to a better school. But in addition to paying tuition, I still also have to pay school taxes. Hey, Sora Luna, welcome. So, why aren't you given the option to choose between paying school taxes or tuition? And this came in my mind somewhere along the lines of watching these Midwestern states. I was watching a review of the states asking for more money and how a 2 to 3% increase every year was the average financial increase for income, and how when teachers got a 2% increase, they were complaining that they wanted more like 10% because of the inflation. Well, inflation being a whole separate argument, these teachers are requesting more and more money, yet at the same time, the schools are requesting more and more money, and yet at the same time, they're still asking parents to send more and more supplies. At what point do you stop and wonder, are you thinking about the people that live in the area of which the education is being provided? If you want people to come into your town, you lower taxes. You get more people into the town, you're collecting taxes from more people. That lower amount will equal the same. You raise your taxes, people are going to leave town, then they're not paying those taxes, and then you don't have that income. You have to raise taxes to compensate. There's this huge push to make sure that we have funding for the kids in education. Why would a homeowner with no kids pay at all? Because it's a tax now. It's not an optional item. It's a tax. It's a government forced payment based on your location. So when you're a homeowner and when you're trying to decide how to pay these taxes, like, well, school starts, it's September, winter's coming, I've got to fill the propane or get ready to pay an expenditure on the heat bill or the kerosene, whatever your fuel may be. If you're in a colder area, you're going to have extra costs of school clothes and apparently what can be anywhere from $20 to $100 in supplies. And this all adds up. At the same time, oh, by the way, you own a house worth X number of dollars. Well, here's what you owe for the school to proceed. This year, the school's going to get new lights, new modems, new cords, new cables, new desks, new chairs, new curtains, new this, new that. We're going to order extra stationery and buy more fuel and a couple more buses and a whole bunch of other things. So, why? For what? At what point should the school be in better condition than the homes in the area? If I can't afford to run through my house and change everything to LEDs, why am I paying the school to do that? If I can't necessarily afford, I know I just did buy a vehicle, it's a bad example, but if I can't afford to buy an extra vehicle to get my family around, why should I be paying the school more to buy more buses? It's a wonder question. But then, let's hit the other side of the argument. Like Data started to throw in there. But that is towards my argument. If you don't have any kids, why are you paying taxes? If you wanted to choose where to send your kid for school, current environment, I don't honestly know what taxes are, but let's assume that what I pay, which is going to be about $1,200 to $1,400 in school taxes for one of my properties this year, another $1,000 on the other one, which I'm trying to get rid of and I can't do anything right now. So let's assume I'm paying one tax bill for each kid. Can I afford on a regular basis to pay $100 a month for my kid to go to school if I'm not paying for taxes? Would it cost me $100 or would it cost me more with fewer people paying to get those kids through school? Well, if I'm paying for it, what do I get out of what I'm paying for? Now, I try to consider the aspects of this. If I'm paying for the school, obviously whatever I'm paying for has to cover all sorts of stuff. So you understand that if a teacher wants a raise, that comes out of what you're paying for. If the school needs more stuff, that comes out of what you're paying for or you pay for it. At this point, it's a real hard choice. If I don't have any kids, I still have to pay taxes for those who do have kids to keep the cost down on everybody. So I'm rolling myself into a ball of yarn here. Let's read the chat. I know that's towards your argument. I read that. Unfunded federal mandates. There was an argument during election period, I haven't heard much come of it, where you could opt out of public school and move your kids into private tuition-based school. And I haven't heard a whole lot about this. But I'm wondering which would offer better consignment for the students, which would teach more. Would schools that wanted your kids to come there so they could get the funding work harder to teach your kids than schools that don't honestly care how many kids are there? They get the funding regardless. All they have to do is mandate the funding. The education doesn't necessarily have to be better, because it's not. So wouldn't it be better to be able to move your kid? And what would happen to public schools? Would they improve based on necessity? Or would they continue to decrease the level of education they're putting out to American students? Weird thoughts to have sometimes. I worry about the education. Really do. But here we are, running further into this stream. And we need more stuff to talk about. Way more stuff to talk about. What have we done? We've done things I can't read because they're blank. Nightbot. What color? Alright, guys. Who's going to pick the next topic? Please feel free to pick at your leisure while I click on random buttons on my side of the screen. Ooh. Let me get rid of this white helmet article. And see what else is going on here. Nothing. Nothing going on my end. Ooh, I need to shave. Too much hair. I can hear myself scratching. Ooh, ooh, sex. Yes, please. Teachers aren't into education for the money and fame. Well, we could discuss that. They're kind of not. So why are they requesting so much money? What should you do? Sex. What should you do if your partner isn't into something you want to try? This is a weird question. It's one that I often come up with because in an effort to keep my whatever, marriage, relationship. How do I want to marriage? Yeah, it's both. In an effort to keep my life fun, I try to consistently find ways to be more exciting or try different styles or places to do things. Good morning, TA. But what happens when the other person doesn't want to try? What do you do? Let's bring up one from the past. Let's say, for instance, you want to try some anal. But your partner's like, you ain't putting it in my butt. Well, can I put it in somebody else's? No. Well, what do I do? I want to put it in someone's butt. What do I do? What do you do? That's a horrible example. I'm sorry, guys. But, it is what it is. The way I sort of see the current sexual revolution happening is that a lot of people tell others as good advice that if you're not getting the things that you want to do or someone isn't willing to try that, find someone else that is willing to try it, making the criteria to get somebody then the willingness to try new things. But then what if you don't like them and that person did, and then that doesn't work? You start to create a weird questioning dynamic. Wait, what? In your butt? Yeah. Alright, so I'm using a horrible example, maybe, depending on your situation. But, admittedly, I watch very many different sides of this story. And you see people go, but it's... if the person you're with isn't into trying the things you want to try, then you need to find somebody else. Alright, well, let's say, for instance, I wanted to put it in my wife's butt, but she's not into it. I'm not going to explain to you what the situation between my wife is. This is an illustration, not true. And I don't want to cheat on her. So the answer is then to leave her to find somebody that will let me put it in their butt. Is that how you do it? And I'm wondering, because this is a worry I have. And simplify it. Simplify it to giving head even. Let's say you're with a girl that doesn't like cock in her mouth. And you should leave her because she doesn't. She does everything else just fine, but she doesn't want it in her mouth. Okay. Leave her. Find somebody that's better. Hey, Bobcat, perfect conversation to walk into. NumbedSkull is into BDSM. No comment. This is a weird worry. Sometimes you just have to understand that things aren't going to happen the way you want to put your BB in a no place. Some things aren't going to happen in a way that you may want. In life, you learn that some things that you're after, you're never going to strive to achieve. And it's realism. It's just honesty with oneself and the surrounding environment. So if your partner doesn't want to do something, wouldn't it be more... Is it retro? Would it be retro to just deal with the fact that that's not going to be a part of your life and move on? Instead of creating a situation where you're breaking a marriage or possibly a family apart over a desire of pleasure versus what? Being a good role model and parent to your kid. Oh, you can be a good role model when the parents split up. Yeah. And until one parent says yes to something and the other parent says no to something, and then the kid goes, but I want to be with so-and-so because they let me do this. And then you get more problems. Wait, where was I going with this? Oh, that wasn't where I was going. What if she gets all pissy and just won't fuck at all? That's a good question. And then that goes to, at what point do you stop and go, but this isn't working? TA says, such is life. Life, don't talk to me about life. A person should be happy in the relationship they're in. But there should be a point where you stop to consider that just because you desire trying something doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to happen just because you desire it. You can question it and ask for it and over. Maybe one day that person will give in. The game of hunting for that might be entertaining. But apparently now, even if it's your wife or whatever and you keep chasing after a desire and she didn't like it when you finally got it, that was rape because you coerced her into it. What? That doesn't, well, it does, but doesn't make sense. I need coffee for this. Be right back. Good idea. I drank coffee before this. I'm not saying any specific entities or things. I'm just saying you have this dynamic of conversation where people are telling others that if you're not happy or if you want to try something and your partner isn't up to it, that you should just leave your partner and find somebody new, find more open people. But there comes a point where you have to realize, you have to weigh your options and stop and go, maybe this thing that I want to do isn't worth doing. And I'm just overthinking or worrying about dumb things. And I don't know why I used anal sex as an example, but hey, it's out there. People enjoy it. People don't enjoy it. People don't try it because they don't think they're going to enjoy it. People do try it because they think they might enjoy it and end up getting like 13-inch squashes stuck up in their gut through their rectal hole. So there's so many things to worry about. And anal keeps becoming a topic of discussion. I like BDSM, but only certain things. Check the laws in your state. Might be illegal. Some girls like it every now and then. Hey, like I said, I'm not gonna get too in-depth on my own conquests and non-conquest arguments, fights, and disputes. I'm just Just throwing it out there. I see in dating pages and sites and some videos, some new videos that I've been tempted to do critique videos on. I see the argument that if your partner isn't willing to try this, that, or the other thing, the predominant argument is, well, if that makes you unhappy, then leave and find a new partner. And I'm just like, well, ain't that just what? What happened to till death do us part and all that shit? And the ring represents the continuous love between one another or something. Did anybody remember any of this when they got into a committed relationship with a contract and all that other stuff? Rubber domina. I need a new chair. I'm playing with the wood on the bottom. But we're going to talk about one more thing today, or I'm going to ramble on for 8 minutes about bull. So, what are we going to talk about, guys? What is there? What could there be? What could there be? Oh, by the way, if I have not mentioned, I think I mentioned it once last week, if anybody happens to donate to Streamlabs, everybody gets bones. Till bone in the butt. Till bone in the butt do us part. Wait, what? I wanted to try that. Transportation, says TCA. What sound method could be used to streamline travel in large cities? Did I change the wrong one? Uh-oh. I think I changed the wrong questions today. I swooped up. Yeah, because this is a repeat, I think. Yeah, we have had this already. It's not just me. I screwed up. That's what happens when you take vacation. Damn it. No more vacation. Yeah, I can't afford another vacation. That's over. Alright, guys. Let's try this again. I know what I did fix. Now I don't know what I screwed up. I have a transportation question. How do I get from point A to point B? Damn Skullbot. If transporter technology existed like on Star Trek, would you use it? Oh, we've mildly discussed transporter technology. I'd be inclined to try it. Honestly, if you think about the demolecularization and matter transfer through energy, it is an interesting design. However, there is a downfall to this technology, and that is your brain. Also, if you think about it, your eyes. Although I guess if we had transporter technology with molecular and demolecularization, then your eyes wouldn't be an issue. We could actually correct visual imparities by transporting other fluid into the eye, because your eyeball technically never refreshes fluid. The fluid that you're born with in your eyeball is in your eye for life. And if something happens, it's done. There's no regrowth. There's no repair or fixing in most cases yet with technology. But your brain, oh my God, your brain, here is the distinguishing factor. If you were to send your brain through a molecular transporter, your brain works on basically the repeat synapse of electropulses going through chains based on the build of the way you learn things. If you send your brain through a transporter, there would be a removed amount of muscle memory and synapses transfers that would be present, because it would be rebuilding them. See, that would be my worry. How would your brain continuously move the electricity through the synapses, causing the thought processes to work properly, if the entire thing was completely reconstructed? the only way we've achieved the knowledge that we have is because we've allowed our brains to build, to allow itself to continuously progress to the point where it is. And when you take it apart and put it back together, it's almost like comparing it to losing muscle memory, if that makes sense. Okay, let's put it this way. I honestly think that if we made transporters work, if we viably moved a person through a transporter, their memory would be the most screwed up part. Everything else might come out okay. They could come through the transporter perfectly fine, everything intact. But then their conversation, the coherency in the conversation and the thought processes they have would not make sense, and they wouldn't understand that it didn't make sense because they would have to relearn. So I honestly think that the biggest dilemma we're going to have running into is a toddler in an adult body having to relearn how to do everything. Transporter technology was tried today. The first person going through the transporter has suffered immense neurological damage to the point where doctors aren't able to figure out exactly what happened. But we're assuming this is the case, that this person no longer has any memories or ability to decide how to use its body, and has thus shat and pissed himself on the transporter pad as he fell to a pile, crying and screaming. I can see into your head. No brain. Yeah, that's true. Would you rather be deader than a doornail? At that point, you wouldn't know. AKA retard. Drooling too. Yes. Well, your ability to subconsciously control your heartbeat, to be able to control your muscles for your rectum, believe it or not, is one of the most important. Your ability to urinate and shit, the muscles to control those you have control over, consciously and semi-subconsciously, because you've been trained to do so. If your brain rebuilds, those are some of the first things that you start to lose control over, is the things that you've develop the ability to control. So bodily functions would then process normally, and the shit falls out. The person falls down because he forgot how to walk, how to balance. What if transporter forgot your dick and you came out dickless? It would be the new state-of-the-art transgender machine. Ooh, I heard the actual real transporter would make a copy of you first at the destination and then destroy your original. No, not the dick. Destroy the original, you say. Well, I'm so glad we went tangent on this one. What if a transporter put you dick in a bum without consent? What if it did? What if you transported yourself and the person came out dickless and they forgot to destroy the original, and then you could mate with yourself and procreate yourself? And you could love yourself and hug yourself and kiss yourself. And I don't even know where that came from. I know it's a movie, but Jason Statham is crazy. And so am I think. Guess what, guys? It has been the hour. It has been a wonderful hour. I have enjoyed all but my transportation screw up. A female clone of me sounds sexy. A female clone of me sounds scary. I tall women. Not horrible, but not wonderful. Yay, you got it. Thank you. Alright, guys. Make sure we do what we always do. There are some lovely buttons. There's thumbs. that go up bums, and there's arrows that tell you where to go, and there's words that tell you what you did. Make sure you slap, clap, beep, bop buttons on your way out. I don't know, guys. Just hit some buttons when you leave. Have a good day. Music.